Stop everything now. What's happening isn't a coincidence. You were chosen. And no, this isn't an exaggeration. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a secret that's been hidden for centuries, a very powerful teaching from Thoth to unlock the energy of prosperity inside you. You don't realize it, but your old beliefs are draining your power every day. It's like you're trying to run with invisible chains on your feet. And the craziest part? Only those who are ready can break these chains. That's why the universe brought you here. And I promise, if you stay until the end, you'll learn not only how to unlock, but also how to activate a vibrational flow that starts working in your favor immediately. In just a bit, I'm going to show you how to access this hidden energy. But first, take a deep breath, because what's coming next might be the key you've been waiting for a long time. Are you with me? Energy flows where attention goes. You got here because you've already started to feel it. It doesn't matter if you don't exactly understand what's happening. What matters is that something inside you is already vibrating differently. It's like a little alarm, a signal echoing from deep inside your being, saying there's something more. And right now, we're about to cross the first door together. But this door isn't made of wood or iron. It's made of something much more subtle, much more tricky. Your own beliefs? Yes. What you believe about yourself, about life, about the world, is the raw material of the invisible barrier surrounding you. Every day, with every thought passing through your mind, you reinforce a vibration. And this vibration shapes how you perceive reality, how you feel, how you act, you. The thing is, you were programmed from a very young age to vibrate low. It wasn't out of conscious malice. It's because your parents, your teachers, your friends, they were all already vibrating like that before you. They believed life was hard, that money was scarce, that happiness was rare. And without realizing it, they passed those truths on to you as if they were universal facts. But they're not. Imagine for a moment that you're an antenna. You pick up signals, turn those signals into emotion, and send back a vibration to the universe. When you grow up hearing that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve, that the world is dangerous, that it's better to settle for less, your antenna starts sending out that frequency constantly. No matter how much you want to change your life, if deep down you believe you can't, your vibration stays stuck in the same pattern. And here lies the first big trap. People think reality changes only with external effort, working more, studying more, fighting more. But what's blocking their energy isn't how much they do on the outside. It's how much they carry inside. Think about the thoughts you have every day. How many times do you catch yourself mentally saying, "I'm not capable, I never have luck, this is never going to work, I'm not loved"? These phrases go by so quickly you don't even notice. But each one is an energetic command. Each one is a password you repeat in the vibrational field surrounding you. And that field responds exactly to what you're sending out. That's why so many people feel exhausted trying to change their lives with physical effort, but never touching the root of the problem. It's like trying to clean a dirty mirror by scrubbing the wall behind it. You're working in the wrong place. And this invisible barrier doesn't just show up in moments of crisis. It's present in the little things of daily life, when you criticize yourself before even trying something new. When you feel afraid of losing before you've even won. When you decide it's better not to dream so you won't be disappointed. That's the pattern. That's the wall surrounding you. And it's important to understand, we're not talking about superficial positive thinking here. It's not about forcing optimistic phrases while inside you're still vibrating fear. It's about recognizing that there's a system running in the background of your consciousness, like hidden software programmed to keep you always in the same place. This software wasn't put there by you. It was inherited, copied, installed without you even knowing. But now, you have the chance to start seeing the signs. Start observing your own day. When an opportunity comes up, what do you think? When someone compliments you, what do you feel? When you make a mistake, what's the first thing your mind says? These small moments are windows. They show where your energy is stuck. They show where you keep feeding the same old frequency. And without realizing it, that's exactly what closes the door to prosperity. You might even be asking the universe for abundance. You might be making wish lists, visualizing, praying. But if deep down you carry guilt, fear, insecurity, your vibration is misaligned with what you're asking for. And the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. It responds to what you vibrate. This is the first big revelation. And it's not easy to swallow because it means that changing your life isn't a matter of luck or waiting for the right moment. It's a matter of breaking an energetic pattern you've been repeating for years. And it's exactly this barrier that Thoth's secret is going to start dissolving, but only for those who are ready. The invisible cycle that holds you back, this is where the journey starts to go deeper. Because understanding that there's an invisible barrier is just the beginning. The real challenge is seeing the cycle that's holding you back. This cycle isn't visible to the eye. It doesn't show up in the mirror. It's not written anywhere. But it determines almost everything in your life. It lives inside your mind, fed by emotions you don't even notice, and by thoughts you've already normalized. You think small, feel small, act small, and you don't even know why. That's the most dangerous poison. It works silently like a habit you never question. Imagine a child hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't have everything in life. If you were born poor, you'll die poor." She hears this from parents, from teachers, from TV. At first, she doesn't understand. But her brain, still fresh and impressionable, starts absorbing these phrases as universal laws. And when she grows up, even without realizing it, she starts acting as if those phrases were unchangeable truths. When an opportunity comes up, she hesitates. When she tries something new, she doubts herself. When she thinks about greatness, she immediately feels guilty as if she doesn't deserve it. And like that, without noticing, she reinforces her own prison. This cycle becomes so automatic you don't even notice it anymore. It shows up in small moments in daily life, when you reject a compliment, when you downplay an achievement, when you're afraid to charge for your work, when you feel uncomfortable asking for help. These micro-gestures seem silly, but together they build a wall around you. And that wall is made of emotional patterns. You feel fear, so you hold back. You hold back, so you miss the opportunity. You miss the opportunity, so you reinforce the idea that things never work out. And like that, you create a spiral that keeps tightening and tightening until it feels impossible to escape. Fear, by the way, is the main fuel of this cycle. It doesn't have to be explicit fear, like the terror of losing everything or facing immediate danger. It works on subtle levels, like constant restlessness, nameless anxiety, a vague sense that something is always about to go wrong. This fear makes you choose the safe path, even if the safe path is what keeps you small. It makes you avoid risks, even if risks are exactly what you need to grow. It makes you silence your voice, even when it's your voice that could open the doors you've been dreaming of walking through. And while you keep spinning inside this cycle, life keeps passing by. You wake up, work, come home, try to relax, sleep, and the next day, it all repeats. You look back and feel like nothing's changed. You look forward and don't know where to start. And this doesn't happen because you lack talent, or luck, or help. This happens because you're trapped in an energetic cycle that feeds itself, a cycle that was planted in you before you even had the chance to choose. But now, for the first time, you're starting to see the strings that bind you. And in the next part, we're going to expose how these beliefs were implanted in you without you noticing, and by whom. While you spin in this invisible cycle, there's something even deeper happening behind the scenes. You start to realize it's not just about isolated beliefs. It's not just about personal thoughts or individual emotions. There's an entire system carefully structured that's worked for centuries to make sure those beliefs stay firm inside you. And here's the most important part: you're not to blame for falling into this. From the moment you were born, everything around you was shaped to make sure you'd grow up obedient, limited, controlled. Fear was the tool chosen to keep this system standing. Look closely. How many times did you hear phrases like, "If you do this, you'll go to hell. If you disobey, you'll be punished. If you don't follow the rules, you'll be rejected"? It doesn't matter your background, your culture, your environment. On some level, these ideas were put in front of you. The fear of social punishment, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of not being accepted, the fear of not being loved. All these little fears were skillfully planted early on, like invisible fences marking how far you were allowed to go. And when someone tried to question, challenge, or think differently, the system reacted forcefully. Criticism, exclusion, reprimand. The message was always clear: stay in your place. This system isn't just some vague theory. It shows up in religious structures, in schools, at work, in the success models sold by the media. It's reinforced by the movies you watch, the news you read, the stories you hear. It's everywhere, constantly whispering in your ear, don't you dare step out of line. You might even feel special. You might even seek self-knowledge. But be careful not to go too far. Because if you go too far, you'll start to see something the system doesn't want you to see. That it's not as solid as it seems. Fear isn't just an individual emotion. It's a collective network. It connects millions of people in patterns of silent obedience. It makes neighbors police each other. Friends monitor each other. Families pass on the same limits generation after generation. And the most impressive thing, it does all this without needing a visible force, without needing external control. Fear is an invisible programmer, making sure you don't try to break the patterns because you believe the consequences will be unbearable. The secret few know is that the system doesn't just stand because of external power. It stands because you've learned to police yourself. You become the guardian of your own chains. You criticize yourself before anyone else does. You limit yourself before anyone else limits you. You hold yourself back before anyone else holds you back. That's how the cycle perpetuates. And that's why it's so hard to break, because it's not just about changing the outside world. It's about changing the way you were conditioned to see yourself. But what nobody tells you is that inside this invisible prison, there's a crack. And that's where you're going to break free. The breath of awakening. How to start breaking the cycle. That crack, that small opening in the system is the breath of awakening. It's that instant when, for a brief moment, you realize you no longer need to wait for permission to change. You don't need someone to come save you. You don't need the world to perfectly organize itself around you. This is the point where real hope is born, because awakening doesn't depend on external factors. It starts from within. It starts the very moment you turn your gaze inward, not to judge or criticize yourself, but to remember. Yes, remember. Remember the essence that's always been there, silently pulsing beneath the layers of fear, shame, and conditioning. You are not just a body. You are not just a mind. You are not just a collection of memories, traumas, desires, and insecurities. You are, in your deepest nature, a spark of the same energy that created stars, oceans, mountains, entire galaxies. You were made in the image and likeness of the Creator, not in the physical sense, but in the vibrational sense. This means you carry within you a creative field, a core of power that when accessed has the capacity to reshape everything around you. And the most amazing thing is that this doesn't depend on any complex ritual or on esoteric knowledge hidden in rare books. It depends only on one simple but revolutionary act. The act of seeing again who you truly are in this moment. As you hear these words, something important is already happening. A part of you is starting to understand that this awakening is not some distant destiny or unattainable goal. It's a choice. It's an inner, silent, but deeply transformative movement. When you start questioning the patterns you've repeated for years, when you start doubting the stories you've told yourself, when you start realizing that the voice that's always shouted in your head doesn't always tell the truth, you are taking the first steps to break the cycle. And pay attention, this doesn't mean fear will disappear overnight, that limitations will magically vanish, that everything will align as if by magic. It simply means you begin to understand that you no longer have to be dominated by it. Fear may still exist, but it no longer has to guide your decisions. Limitations may keep showing up, but they no longer have to define who you are. Because deep down, you start realizing that there's something inside you that's untouchable. Something that's always been there intact, perfect, whole. That something is your divine essence. And that essence cannot be bought, cannot be sold, cannot be taken from you. It just is. It's what you've always been before any story, before any label, before any pain. And it's from this recognition that awakening begins to take shape. Not because you become someone different, but because you finally stop believing you need to be anything other than what you already are. And when you stop fighting yourself, when you let go of the need to prove something to the world, a quiet peace begins to emerge. But be careful, because this piece is not the end of the road, it's just the entry portal. Because before you move forward, you need to learn to read the greatest teacher of all, the one who's always been in front of your eyes, but that few have learned to listen to, nature itself. And when you open that inner door, when you start to touch the divine essence within you, it's impossible not to see nature with new eyes, because it's always been there, whispering the greatest secrets of the universe, waiting for you to pause for a moment to listen. Look at a tree, not just as a trunk, branches, and leaves, but as a silent master that withstands storms, strong winds, scorching summers, harsh winters, and yet remains firm, constantly renewing itself. The tree doesn't complain when it loses its leaves in the fall. It doesn't fear the winter. It doesn't doubt the arrival of spring. It simply lives the cycle fully surrendered to the greater flow of life. And what does that teach you? That you too can renew yourself. That you too can let go of what no longer serves you. See, a tree doesn't hold on to dead leaves. It lets them go, lets them fall, knowing that without that release, there will be no space for the new to sprout. How many beliefs have you carried for years that are already dry, withered, heavy, and that you insist on keeping out of fear of standing bare before the world? The natural cycle shows that vulnerability is an essential part of renewal. When the tree is without leaves, it's exposed, but it's in that state that it prepares the strength to bloom again. The ground you walk on holds ancient memories. The waters running through the rivers have touched distant continents. The wind blowing now has passed over mountains, deserts, oceans. Nature is an interconnected, pulsing system that transforms itself every moment. And if you stop to truly feel this, you'll realize you are not separate from it. You are made of the same matter. You breathe the same air. You vibrate at the same frequency. When you try to cling to a fixed identity, to a rigid narrative about who you are, you freeze something that was born to flow. Everything around you is already showing you that you can change, that you can free yourself from the old to make room for the new. And here comes a deep detail. Nature doesn't judge its phases. A tree isn't ashamed of being without flowers. The sky doesn't apologize for being cloudy. The sea doesn't blame itself for being rough. Why do you condemn yourself so much for the phases you go through? Why do you believe you should always be happy, always perfect, always productive? That's a distortion society has imposed. But nature offers you a truer reminder. Every season has its purpose. Every phase has its beauty. Every transformation carries a lesson. The secret to activate the energy of prosperity. Your existence is not an isolated episode disconnected from the rest of creation. Every breath you take stirs the invisible fabric that connects everything. Every choice, every word, every thought sends out waves that ripple far beyond your personal life. The collective purpose is the web where we are all intertwined. Even if most people have forgotten, you didn't come into this world just to pay bills, complete daily tasks, and repeat patterns until your last day. You came to touch the whole even when you don't realize it. When you smile at someone on the street, you change the vibrational field around you. When you choose forgiveness over revenge, you ease ancestral burdens that weren't even just yours. When you allow yourself to bloom, you inspire others to do the same. This isn't abstract philosophy. This is energy in motion, energy pulsing through you and shaping the collective space. Life isn't a solo game. You're playing in a network. And while that network vibrates fear, guilt, anger, competition, the world around reflects that same chaos. But when someone starts vibrating differently, something changes. Even if slowly, even if almost invisibly, the field around begins to reorganize. This is the most powerful insight you can have right now. Your inner transformation isn't just for you, it's for everyone. Every time you choose to break an old pattern, you make space for others to do the same. For every time you break an emotional chain, you lighten the load of generations. You didn't come here just to survive. You came to impact, to resonate, to multiply possibilities. And when you realize that awakening stops being a lonely path and becomes a dance with the collective, because now, the most awaited moment has arrived, revealing how to reactivate the energy of prosperity within you. Prosperity, unlike what many people think, is not simply having money or accumulating possessions. It's a vibrational state. When you vibrate in fear, scarcity, shame, you naturally create blockages in the flow of this energy. Imagine a river that should run free, but has been dammed by years of limiting beliefs. It becomes stagnant, murky, powerless. But when you start loosening those bindings, something extraordinary happens. The flow returns. The water starts to run again, and with it comes a deep sense of alignment with life. That's what prosperity is, being in flow. Being connected, feeling that you're not fighting against the current but sailing with it. Simple practices can kickstart this unlocking. One example: observe your thoughts carefully. When a limiting belief pops up like "I'll never make it," or "I'm not good enough," stop, take a deep breath, question that voice. Ask yourself, where did this idea come from? Who put this in me? And most importantly, is this idea really mine? You'll start to realize that many of these beliefs were just borrowed, absorbed over time, but were never part of your essential self. And by releasing those bindings, you make space for a new vibration. Another powerful practice: reprogram your emotions. This isn't about faking happiness when you're not feeling it. It's about consciously choosing to nurture states like gratitude, joy, compassion, even in the face of challenges. When you activate these feelings, even in small doses, you reopen blocked channels within yourself. And the most magical part is this: the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you vibrate. When you vibrate abundance even before you see external results, you are already in the flow of prosperity. This isn't superstition, it's energetic resonance. How to protect this state in a world that wants to pull you back. How to shield your energy field. The world you live in is full of forces that want to pull you back: constant distractions, emotional noise, social cycles that drain your energy without you even noticing. That's why now it's time to understand how to shield your energy field. Imagine your energy as a precious reservoir. Every time you get involved in gossip, comparisons, empty competitions, it's like little holes are being poked in that reservoir. Little by little, the strength you've been cultivating starts to leak out. Not because you're weak, but because the system was designed to keep you distracted, tired, divided. Shielding your energy field starts with selective attention. That means consciously deciding where you place your focus. When you spend hours stuck in pointless arguments on social media, when you drown yourself in news that only generates fear and helplessness, when you get into emotional tug-of-wars with people around you, you're not just wasting time, you're losing alignment. Your vibration drops, your clarity fades, your intuition gets foggy. And that's how the invisible world around you influences your vibrational state. It's not about living isolated or ignoring the world, but it is about developing an internal filter, a filter that asks, does this feed my light or drain my energy? Another powerful tool is silence. The modern world is so noisy that you've been conditioned to fear silence. But silence is where true reconstruction happens. Set aside daily moments to disconnect not just from screens, but from internal noise too. Close your eyes. Breathe. Notice what's alive inside you. When you create spaces of presence, your energy starts to naturally reorganize. And that reorganization doesn't depend on complicated practices. It depends on commitment to yourself. You are responsible for choosing where your energy will be invested. And every time you choose alignment over distraction, you strengthen your field. Avoiding comparisons is also essential. You have a unique path, a unique rhythm, a unique essence. Comparing yourself to others is one of the cruelest forms of self-sabotage because it puts you in a race you were never meant to run. Every time you measure yourself by someone else's yardstick, you weaken your own journey. And shielding your field is above all honoring your own process. Recognizing that your awakening has its own pace, that your prosperity has its own form, that your vibration has a unique signature in the universe. Protecting that is a deep act of self-love. And now we come to the grand finale, the call that only the prepared can hear. You didn't get here by accident. It wasn't just curiosity that brought you to these words. It was synchronicity. It was the universe conspiring to place you in front of this moment, this secret, this revelation. Thoth's secret isn't just ancient knowledge. It's not just an esoteric code reserved for a few. It's a vibrational reminder that you are already prosperous, already abundant, already connected. Awakening doesn't turn you into something new. It simply removes the layers that made you forget who you've always been. You were chosen for this. And not because there's some spiritual elite, not because you're better or more special than others. You were chosen because you decided to listen, because you decided to stop and pay attention. And now a door has been opened. That door isn't some magical portal outside of you. It's a space within your being that's beginning to expand, a space where your energy and your purpose meet. A space where awakening isn't just a concept, but a living practice. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already started to wake up. So, do this, drop a comment saying, "I accept prosperity now," to seal this vibrational intention and show the universe that you're ready to receive. I'll read every comment and reply to you there because that creates a powerful current between us. Oh, and if you want to help the channel more directly, there's a link available in the first pinned comment for those who want to contribute and help us spread even more transformative content like this around the world. Your support makes all the difference. I'll see you in the next video. And hold on, don't leave yet. I've picked out a special video just for you to continue this journey with me. It's showing up on the screen now. Click on it so we can meet there and dive even deeper into this path of energetic unlocking.